Hi, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. I'm excited to be here today because the guest that I have, we have a lot of interesting connections. So without further ado, I'm not even going to talk. I'm just going to bring her on. Her name is PJ Beaven. Welcome.
Hello, Julie. How are you?
So excited to have you here. You have such an interesting story. And as you and I were talking about privately beforehand, you're probably not my average guest, which I love. So would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and your own wellness journey?
Sure. Again, as I said, not your average guest. My program that I have is called ZooFit. And this is based on the fact that I was a zookeeper for 15 years. I worked all over the country, and I worked with every kind of animal you can imagine, starting with marine animals, and then moved my way across the country, started working with birds, and then finally found myself in our first connection, the Pacific Northwest, in a little town called Blaine, working in a Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle, working with land animals, and then also ended up with elephants. So again, from tiny sea creatures to the world's largest land animal. And again, this is where a lot of people figure, like, what does this have to do with fitness? And that's how I got into fitness, was being a zookeeper. As you can probably imagine, working with animals, it's a very active job. It always keeps us on our toes. And it's a dream job for so many people. Even those not in the field, they think, wow, how amazing would it be to work with animals? And I was living my dream, something I'd wanted to do since I was 5 years old. And I wasn't feeling as wonderful as I felt I could. I was actually borderline miserable. And that's because the job is hard on your body. So my back ached, my knees ached. I was tired all the time, very fatigued, and just wasn't taking care of myself. And I had this epiphany one day while I was working. I remember just sweeping up some of the doing some cleaning, and an idea came to me. How can I take care of these animals if I'm not taking care of myself?
Amen.
And that thought just changed everything. And again, I called it my big why. It just became the most important thing to me. Is if these animals matter so much to me, that I'm giving 100% of my life to them, then I should be taking care of myself, because I am the best animal care out there. And I've discovered through the years that goes for anything. Your family, your children, your community. If you care about this planet, which we'll talk about, if you care about this planet, you have to take care of yourself. And the two things are very much connected. So I decided, let's do this. Let's get into shape. But the thing is, as you know, it's more than just broccoli and burpees. It's a lot more than this very punishing mentality we have. We have to eat broccoli. We have to do burpees. We have to, we can't eat this. We have to eat that. And it's a very punishing mentality where we guilt ourselves, we shame ourselves, and we berate ourselves for not adhering to these new demands on our lives. And that's not how we work with animals in zoos. We work with them in what's called operant conditioning, but we focus on positive reinforcement, which means that we focus on what they're doing good, and we basically ignore. We just don't pay attention to the negatives. We just move on from that, and again, keep focusing on the positive. So I decided, let me try some of that. Let's try that into my fitness. And I started, again, finding it not just helping me in my fitness goals, but having a lot more fun, where these habits stuck because it wasn't something I had to do. It became something I got to do. I enjoyed doing absolutely every step of the way. And so eventually, as time went by, I came to realize that this is something that is very different from what everyone else experiences with fitness. And so I wanted to share that with the world. And so I came to a decision, hey, let's turn in those zoo keys for some dumbbells, or for a jump rope, and let's see if I can share my journey to fitness with others and help them change their lives. And again, the life-changing aspect, again, wasn't just a physical change. It was complete mental change. My mood improved. I became not just a healthier zookeeper, but a happier zookeeper. And I truly believe, again, that feeds off into whatever we're taking care of. So if you're taking care of animals, then they are going to feed off of your energy. They're going to feed off your energy, definitely, if they're the people you spend the most time with. But even within your community, I live in, again, wonderful little community in Blaine.
It's big.
But it's those little habit changes where I feel good. People are like, wow, you look really happy doing XYZ. I want to try that too. So that's kind of where I am right now. So I created ZooFit to help people not just meet their fitness goals, but have fun in their fitness. That is the most important thing. Because if it's not fun, it's not worth doing again.
Exactly. And you're not going to. Why are you punishing yourself? I love that so much. You speak to my heart, because I can't even tell you how many times I've heard people say, well, I don't like going to the gym, so I don't work out. I'm like, then go work out somewhere else and pick something else to do. It doesn't mean you have to go lift, dumbbells constantly, and you can still choose something else. So I'm curious, what exactly is ZooFit?
So yeah, ZooFit is a wellness and fitness program that employs the principles of zookeeping, and we get our lessons not from human teachers, but from the animals, particularly the animals that I worked with, and the lessons that they taught me in my career, and how that applies to fitness. So again, all is that on positive reinforcement. This is, again, making fitness empowering. So we're not just losing weight. We are becoming self-actualized and again, feeling good about ourselves. So we're going to, again, use positive reinforcement. The other aspects are enrichment. So something that zookeepers do on a daily basis is keep their animals engaged physically and mentally through activities, through toys. And that's, again, the same thing with ZooFit. We are going to keep you physically and mentally active, engaged, by having a lot of fun. So we're also going to not just incorporate toys, but variety is variety is the spice of life. But then most important for us here at ZooFit is connecting your habits to conservation. This is why we have zoos. In this day and age, the main purpose of zoos today is to inspire conservation. And I have found that, once again, you can't take care of the planet. We can't take care of these endangered species if we're not taking care of ourselves. But the great part is, by taking care of ourselves, we get to have a better impact on conservation. So our healthy habits, what we eat, how we move, and our daily decisions don't just impact our lives, they impact the whole world around us.
No, that's a really good point. You don't live on an island by yourself. It's, even every little choice you make it has a ripple effect for yourself and for other people. And I've never really heard anybody put like conservation and fitness together. And I love that, because there's so much truth to it. There's so much truth to being healthy and conservation. Did you come across that concept in particular because it's a different way of looking at it? Did you come across that because you were a zookeeper?
Yes. Yeah. So working with elephants, one of the big issues that elephants are facing today and all other Asian animals is the palm oil crisis. And so I'm on my fitness journey. I'm trying to eat healthier. So the number one recommendation from nutritionists and dietitians is going to be to eliminate processed food. And it's hard. I mean, I know it is hard to get rid of it, especially when, as a zookeeper, your volunteers want to thank you for everything that you've done for them by baking you cookies and bringing cake and donuts, which are my absolute favorite. So it would get really hard for me to resist them. But then I made this connection that a lot of these foods, not all of them, but a very large amount of these foods that we are not supposed to eat, again, big quotations, does have an ingredient that can have a very negative impact on animals I work with, and that is palm oil. So palm oil is in, again, about 75% of our processed foods, and it's in things that you would never imagine it should be in. It's in our margarine, it's in our ramen noodles, it's in granola, it's in chocolate, it's in our ice cream, and it's definitely in a lot of our baked goods. Now, palm oil itself is not a bad ingredient.
Okay.
It's not the palm oil itself. It's actually how it's produced. So okay. Palm oil is mostly found in Southeast Asia, where they're the oil palm, and unfortunately, they are just clear cutting the land and deforestation through slash and burn. So they chop off the forest and then they burn the underbrush, and it is the number one cause for the decline of a lot of primates. Orangutans and gibbons are the big ones that are heavily, 80% of their populations have declined.
Wow.
Tied to the palm oil industry. So here you go, you have two, again, very different ideas, but they interact and they create an idea of, like, if I want to have a better impact on conservation, I want to eliminate this conflict palm oil. And so if I want to do that, again, maybe not eat so much processed foods, at least foods that have come from the grocery store that have palm oil in it. And so this kind of connection just kind of, again, awoke in me, and the cravings for, those treats just diminished. Now I've gotten to the point now, if I want a cake, I make my own cake. I pick out the ingredients. And it's fine. I can still have these in the cake. I can have my cake and eat it too, folks. But I get to choose those ingredients that are healthier for me, but most importantly for me, a healthier impact on the environment. So avoiding that palm oil, avoiding that conflict palm oil that can have such a huge, devastating impact on animals that I love. So yes, this truly came from being a zookeeper. I would never have made this connection if it hadn't been for that unique aspect of my life.
No, that's fascinating. My stepmom, who's an animal rights activist, as soon as she hears this, boy, I think some of her treats are going to change. Not that she does a lot of processed foods anyway, but I don't think that she knows this. And it's something else that she can, add to her list of things to either educate people about or, just incorporate into our own lifestyle. So I'm really glad that you shared that today. Have you ever heard of Michael Pollan? He's an author.
Yes.
His book, Food Rules. I love that thing where it says you can have as much junk food as you want as long as you make it yourself.
Love it.
I mean, first of all, you know what you're putting into it. And second of all, it'll slow you down because it takes a while to make things. It's not so convenient. So I like that. My question, though, is when you're working with clients, I assume that you educate as well about, like palm oil, for example. So how do people run into things like, I'm assuming that there's going to be, withdrawals because it's all in those sugary, delicious types of foods and things like that. So how do you help clients remember their why?
That's an excellent question, because it is hard. I also have to remind myself, I did not get where I am with clients, where I am in their eyes. I did not get there overnight. In fact, even when I had this epiphany, even though, it still took me 2 years to get to a point where I was like in the flow. It took me a total of probably about 3 years to completely eliminate palm oil from my life, because I would not check. I would just randomly look at something as I was eating it and see the label and be like, oh my God, this has palm oil in it, and make a mental note, not buying that again. But it took me a long time to get that out of my life. So again, I'm talking 3 years. I would say still on this path, I'm still working on eliminating plastic. It's a great time to talk about this. Plastic-free July. Plastic is prevalent in our life. We're never going to get rid of it. But once again, if you try to take plastic out of your diet, and in that instance, you're going to eat a lot more whole foods that are healthier for you. But once again, I remind my clients, I remind my participants and myself, we did not get here overnight. It takes a journey. One thing the first thing I ever talked to my clients about is the story of the hummingbird. So the hummingbird is very meaningful to me. Again, that's why I'm very drawn to our connection here. Hummingbirds mean a lot to me. There was a Native American story of a great forest that caught on fire, and all the animals had to flee the forest. And they all gathered around the edge. They're watching their homes burn, and they're all in despair. All of them are there except for one. The little tiny hummingbird would not abandon the forest. She flew to a nearby stream, dipped her tiny little beak into the water, and then flew back to the forest, dropping that bead onto the flames, and then flew back to the stream. And below her, the wolf is howling, oh, the smoke is too much. I can't breathe. The rabbit is saying, the fire will singe my fur. Even like the owl and the eagle are saying, my beak is too small. But little hummingbird just won't stop, back and forth, one drop of water at a time, until finally the bear calls up to her and says, little hummingbird, what are you doing? Without stopping, she says, I am doing what I can.
Oh, wow.
So that is my first lesson I always talk to my clients about, because whenever whether we're doing a workout, whether you are doing some meal prep, whether you're incorporating, trying to change your sleep habits or your water drinking habits, I don't care that you're perfect. I really don't care. I care that you're doing what you can.
No, I think that that's really important too, because, well, for example, when I'm training a client, there's a story that I love. This wasn't my particular client, but another trainer told me about it. And the person that he was working with said, they couldn't get their diet right. They couldn't, they were just struggling with everything, but they showed up every single time for their appointment to work out. And so the client said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore because I can't get everything right. I was like, so you're going to quit the one thing you're doing that is in your favor? Don't, just because it's not perfect, you'll get there. It just takes time, as you said.
Absolutely.
I think that is so important. Because, and I love that you mentioned too, that you're still on this journey. It doesn't go away. It just gets easier. And then there's other things that you can grow into because it becomes more second nature to
Exactly.
So trying to go from 0 to 60, it's all nice and everything in theory, but I don't know anybody that actually sustains that for any length of time.
Right. And this is what most people get into. Again, they have this big why. Oh my God, I need to take care of these animals. Let me start working out 5 days a week for an hour at the gym. I'm going to eat salads. I'm going to sleep 8 hours. And they get burnt out. And I've done that so many times. And that is not how zookeepers work with their animals at all. When you see a show or you see a presentation or you even seeing a trainer working with their animal, you're seeing the end result of months of working with that animal on that particular behavior. Sometimes it can take a few weeks. Sometimes it can take months to complete a behavior. And now, just as a big example, that almost every trainer knows how to, or will teach their animals to step onto a scale so we can get a weight. But it doesn't, believe it or not, even with something like a tiger, you put a scale into their area and they are going to be terrified. And I'm a little that way too. Sometimes put a scale in front of me and no, get that thing away from me. But it takes time. So the first lesson is like one step at a time. We're going to break down that behavior. We want the animal to step onto the scale and to sit down or to hold still long enough so that we can read the number of how much they weigh. What's the next step? What's the next smallest step we can take towards that goal? So the first step is don't run away from the scale. Literally, that is the first step. You didn't run away. Here's some treats. Good job. The next step is let's touch the scale. And then eventually you get all four paws. You can ask them to sit, and eventually you get that weight. But we don't ask them to sit on the scale on the first day of training. And that's how I decided to do my fitness, and that's how I actually train others. And like, I know you want to be drinking 8 glasses of water every single day, but if you've never drank 8 glasses of water a day, it's going to be a lot harder than if you just start so small, so easy, ridiculously easy that you cannot fail.
No, I like that too, because it also builds your confidence too. And then there's that consistency. And, there are certain things too, like I've had clients that don't want to drink plain water and they just refuse. But all they're drinking right now is, for example, coffee and maybe some soda. So to get them to drink some flavored water or, put something in there, I'm like, okay, I'll do it because it's better than the coffee. Just, baby steps will get you some sort of away from that, that other product that you probably shouldn't be drinking instead of water. So, no, I love that idea. I'm curious, this is a really quick question, but when you first started, was your main goal to get rid of aches and pains, or was it like, I want to help other people? I mean, what was your first initial, like, okay, I got to do this?
So that epiphany moment was a selfish thing. It was all me. I had no idea I was going to even remotely share this. It wasn't until I, again, was doing this for a while that I'm like, does this make sense to you, everybody else? And they're like, yes, you should teach us your ways. But so yeah, I would say the first thing was like get rid of those aches and pains. And yeah, it's kind of a little bit overwhelming even when I think back on it, because it was just like be a better zookeeper, and it was really, really broad. So again, it just kind of grew. And it actually showed me from the guest point of view, when they started seeing how their healthy habits could help save elephants or could help save orangutans. That's when I started realizing this isn't just a me thing. This is a whole world thing. This is a change the world idea. So that's what really sparked my interest in pursuing helping others make that connection and giving them a different view of again, letting zoos bring a whole new meaning to the term zoos for them.
No, I love that. So we have to go to commercial break, and I think, as I move my computer, I think now is a perfect time as any, so we'll be right back, okay? Oh, PJ is amazing. I don't even want to go to commercial, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So for those of you who are watching us live, hello, thank you for joining us. And as I mentioned, we'll be back right after these messages.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Now, you can vibrationally align your aura. You can gain a larger and spiritual perspective on life, relationships, God, people, wellness, and money. You can also have moments of meditation and reflection any time of the day. And reading the thrilling, adventurous, and mystical story of Shaga will just add more faith to your daily experience of the mystery of the universe. As human beings, we are meant to thrive in an environment where true love is shared, where we are welcome just as we are, a space we connect with others with the single purpose to find God as love within, a place we learn to raise our consciousness and vibration for happiness, wellness, and wealth creation. Transformative, an online spiritual gathering for everyone. This invitation is sent to you by www.livingfaithschool.org.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And today we have a special guest. Her name is PJ Beaven, and I'm just going to bring her back on. Welcome back. So I have a question. I was thinking about actually a bunch of them during the commercial break, but the main one is you talked about palm oil. What other things should people start to eliminate from their diet that's not good for the planet or the animals?
Well, interesting you should ask this again. There's a lot. What I learned about earlier this year actually was I had this strong focus on palm oil, and I have an emotional connection with the potential impact it has. But what I learned earlier this year was that soybean oil is actually possibly even worse, and it's coming to us from South America, which is driving a lot of the destruction of the Amazon rainforest. And so there's a lot of the foods that are, again, mostly is contributing to some sort of deforestation. And soybean oil, it has a lot of, again, conflicting information. Again, some people you'll hear from a lot of different scientists, it's healthy for you. A lot of people say it's good for you, or don't eat it, it's horrible for you. So regardless if it's good or bad, again, making sure that it's as sustainably sourced as possible is key for a better, healthier you. So again, think about mostly what soybean oil is. So again, we're not talking about tofu or tempeh. We're talking about mostly like soybean oil, like the really highly processed, high yield. So thinking about what soybean oil is mostly in, well, again, you're getting your processed foods. You've got your salad dressings. Again, sometimes things that we think are healthy, but if we look deep down, it's got a lot of sugar. It's got a lot of the unhealthy oils, the unhealthy fats, and it's probably it's a unhealthy food that's got a really great marketing team. And so, just looking at those ingredients, the other thing that most people are not aware of is some of the environmental dangers of sugar. And sorry, folks. This is a bit controversial because the sugar industry has just got a really great, once again, great marketing campaign, but they also have got some great friends up in the government and with lobbying. So they tend to get protected a lot. But the independent researchers have found that there is a very strong link between what Florida was experiencing the last several years with red algae blooms and the sugar industry. So there is other factors. It's not just sugar. I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case, but sugar is really high up on that list. And so, again, another animal that I worked with early in my career were manatees. And so the idea that my food might be harming the first animal that I truly ever cared for was heartbreaking to me. And it was one of the things that helped kick the processed sugar. Once again, let me do a little bit of a caveat. These are where I'm at. These are these levels that I've gotten to, my connections that I've decided to, again, process sugar. I still enjoy honey. I still enjoy agave nectar and dried fruits and some of these, but again, the processed table sugar that you just get in the store is causing a little bit of those problems. And then that the other big thing, again, super small things that we can start doing has nothing to do with that type of ingredient, but just the impact on the planet. Again, with pollution, with plastic, with deforestation, is just eliminating as much fast food as possible, eliminating that junk, fast, convenient food that we know. Deep down, like as Michael Pollan, I like Michael Pollan's. If it's not food, if you're getting it from the window, if you're getting it from the window of your car,
exactly,
it's not food. So, but then you start looking at these links, and they mostly have plastic utensils. They have plastic cups. Plastic lids and straws, and all that goes somewhere. It is mostly landing in the ocean. Unfortunately, a lot of our trash is going to the ocean. But then even getting away from the plastics, you have all this paper products, and those come from somewhere as well. And there's a lot of places that are starting to recycle. They use recycled products, but once again, it is coming from somewhere, and most of them are coming from deforestate, from logging trees.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have some of those ingredients that we just talked about. Maybe not palm oil, but definitely soybean oil, definitely sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, again, you have some of the meat products aren't the healthiest. I am not a vegetarian. I actually don't advocate going vegetarian unless you want to. That is, again, I have helped some people become vegetarians because that's something they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't consider myself a vegetarian at all. I just am very, very picky about where my meat comes from. And if it's not sustainably sourced, if it's not ethically sourced, then I want no part of it. Not just because it's not good for the animals. Again, research shows that factory farmed meats are not good for, and definitely not good for us.
No, definitely not.
So, again, if you had my number one pick of a habit to start that would have the best impact on your health and the planet, it would be to, it doesn't have to be eliminate, but cut out a lot of your fast food habits and start a meal prep habit.
So, there's people out there. This is the trick that I learned a long time ago with meal prep, is to never shop on the same day that you actually meal prep, because it becomes too much. And that went from me having a bunch of food in the fridge that sat there all week and me going out and getting fast food to me actually meal prepping. So I wanted to mention that because, yeah, I think it's I love meal prep, because then there's really no excuse. Or, having I've got like little snacks in my handbag so that if I get hungry and I'm stuck somewhere, I don't have an excuse to go buy something that isn't necessarily good for me.
Oh, I love it. Setting yourself up for, we call that in animal training, we call that setting yourself up for success. And
absolutely.
Yeah. What I think about meal prep, again, think about what you like to eat. And then prep that kind of food. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a salad. Again, most people think of salad, what they think of meal prep. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It's just whatever. If you like, frittatas, if you like, again, chicken salad, great. That's what that works for you. It is much better. You get to, once again, it's just like with making your own food, making your own treats. You get to choose what you want to eat. You're not forced into some decision that of what's available to you. You have,
or what's popular. Just because other people eat it doesn't mean you have to. So,
right.
I mean, there's more than one kind of lettuce leaf out there, or kale or spinach.
Yeah.
If you hate kale, then don't eat it. I don't like kale. I can put it in a smoothie, but I will not eat it in a salad. I just don't like it. I don't care for it. Never have. I don't think I ever will. And therefore, I'm not going to make myself eat it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We get a delivery of, farm fresh vegetables to us, and luckily we get to choose a little bit. If like they have kale in there, I'm like, I don't feel like kale. I want, look, I can switch it for chard. I can do cabbage. I can do a zucchini even, whatever you like. Yeah, exactly. If you don't like kale, then kale is not good for you.
You won't eat it. So why are you buying it? That's not good for the environment either, buying food and throwing it out. So
right.
A lot of people don't talk about that. That's one of the, actually, I went a long time ago. Well, a long time ago. It's probably been 2 years now, but I watched an environmentalist on a live version of a podcast. They were up on stage with Rich Roll. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but it was his podcast. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about how one of the main reasons why we have like a global warming and environmental issues is because we throw away so much food. So people don't realize that you're making a difference in, your environment. You shouldn't throw it away. If you can help it, it's better to eat what you buy. So people don't think about that.
Exactly.
So I'm really curious, since you love animals so much, why are you a meat eater? Why do you not advocate vegetarianism?
Well, we're going back to Michael Pollan. I believe in that there are, first of all, it is a natural thing for, as far as I know, the research I've done, humans have been meat eaters, and it is a lot healthier. There are some things that animal proteins do provide. Once again, I don't eat a lot of it because I can get it. Yeah, that's the kicker, is I don't eat a lot of it.
Yeah.
I can get a good amount of my protein from plant-based foods. Legumes are great. Even spinach, your quinoa, greens. Yeah, so I do typically choose plant-based. But once in I'm just not opposed to it. And I've just found the harder it is, the more I learn, the harder it is for me to justify eating certain meats. But being in the Pacific Northwest, as we have some amazing seafood.
I know.
Amazing seafood that is sustainably sourced. That means they're not contributing to any kind of over exploitation of the fishing industry. So I don't feel bad about eating fish. I don't feel bad about eating the eggs that I eat because they came from chickens that I can see running in a field, not in a cage.
Exactly.
So if I feel like I can eat, if I feel like I can, feel good about that food. Again, what Michael Pollan says, he'll eat food that he'll eat meat that from an animal that had one bad day in their life. And so they had a long life, or not like years and years, but they've had a decent life and they've had one bad day. I'm okay with that. And there's small farms that rely on that kind of rely on that income. So it's a little bit of supporting good local vendors that are doing their part to have a healthy, sustainable farm, planet, and community.
Exactly. And they're not the ones that are mass producing these animals and, destroying the environment
Exactly.
So I get that. That makes perfect sense to me. But I was hoping that you were going to say that you don't eat it all the time because not that there's, who am I to say what you should and shouldn't eat, or anybody besides me? Like, I don't even tell my boyfriend what to eat. So, I was just wanted to get to the difference between how you ate your meat and what kind of meat you chose to eat versus like that mass production where you just go to the Safeway or down here it's Ralph's or what, you just go to the grocery store and pick a piece of meat up and call it a day. It's not the same.
Right, we're saying the same thing, just a slightly different way.
Exactly.
It is a conscious thing. Once again, like I just can't in good conscience, like, did this chicken have a good life? It's a running joke now for I think it's mostly Pacific Northwest. I'm like, I would like this chicken named Birdie who had this they have like their bio of what you're going to be eating. That's me. That's what I want. I want to know that this chicken had the best life before, because it goes back to me. This is, yes, I care about the environment. I care about the animals, but if that chicken ate well, then it's going to nourish me. If that chicken did not eat well, you're eating a diseased chicken. Does that, even if it's not zoonotic, even if it's not going to pass that disease to you, do you want to eat diseased food?
Exactly. I love that distinction because you are what you eat and what you eat.
Yes.
And the other thing too is we keep our issues in our tissues. So it goes the same for animals as it does humans. If they led a stressful life and like painful and tortured and traumatized, you're eating torture and trauma. That's what you're eating. It's just, everything is energy. It comes back to energy. So what kind of energy are you putting into your body? It, ultimately is how I like to look at it. But I would really love to make sure that people can find you. So
Yes.
here we go. This is your website, correct? And don't you have a program that's going to be coming up soon? And I'd love
Yes.
to share a little bit about that.
So last year I launched a book called ZooFit Safari, and I love this idea. Again, everything that I talked about finding little tiny ways. What works for you is not going to work for everybody. And I've often loved the idea that there is no the way. There's my way. What's your way? And ZooFit Safari helps you. It's a 5-week fitness challenge in a book that comes complete with meal plans, 5 different meal plans. So each week is a different one. So we have vegetarian, keto, paleo, Mediterranean,
Wow.
locavore. And then there's 5 different workout styles. There's 5 different habits that we're going to focus on, and even 5 conservation connections that we can learn a little bit more about. I found through my beta testing of the book and through, again, just interactive programs that people love having that accountability. So I decided, let's start a ZooFit Safari challenge online. And I've been working really hard and so close. But it will be launching as a beta testing on my website in August. So if you would like to try this out.
There we go.
Like,
where's my
if you would
big...
like to check that out, it's pretty easy to find. It says join challenge on zoofit.net. And you could be one of the first people to try ZooFit Safari Challenge. Again, 5-week journey, having recipe demos, having workout demos, and master classes to help you be the best version of yourself for you, for your family, and the planet.
I love that. And then also I'm assuming they can buy your book from your website, or can they go to Amazon as well?
Yeah, so you can get it on Amazon. Once again, environmentally, I prefer you buy it from me myself. Or if you could find your local bookstore and ask them to bring it on, I would even like that even more. But you can get it from Amazon. But I also highly encourage you can get you can get ZooFit Safari on
Kindle.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah, it's an ebook. I did do that. And on my website, as well as my older books. I do have a couple others on my website. Reuse, recycle, reduce your waste. And that is a little play on words there, to make your own workout equipment. So from household items that
Love it.
are heading to the dumpster anyway. So, and then our ZooFit exercise guide was my first one. Again, as I mentioned before, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And so just try something new. So ZooFit exercise guide is all these animal exercises, and again, making it fun. So we're going to be playing like animals. And then I create a few workouts for you that are using these animals as your workout. So you get to play rather than just working out. And you can get those.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I've got a question. So you said using these animals as your workout. Do you mean like how they would play is how the workout goes? What do you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. So it's actually taking like the animal movement and creating. So some of them are going to be just regular exercises that we probably are used to, but rather than, again, for instance, there is an exercise just stretching your hamstrings, but rather than, I think it might be called a windmill, but I looked at that exercise and I'm like, that looks like a giraffe reaching down to get a drink of water. And so then I started calling them giraffe reach downs, and it's just more fun than calling them, a lateral step walk. And so I'm like, this looks like a stingray shuffle. So let's go with that. And so it's more of us playing, but it's the animal it's kind of like the animal movements. So we have, giraffe reach down, we have zebra kicks, a lion push up. Again, also getting into some animal information. Elephants can't jump. This is a true fact. Elephants can't jump, but they can step over things. So instead of a high knee, we're going to just bring our knee to our elbow and do an elephant stomp, or an elephants can't jump.
I love that. That makes it so much more fun. I do the same thing, but it's not animal related. Well, this one's not animal related, but there's this exercise where you just bring it down like that. We just call it a sushi cat because that's one of my favorites.
I like it.
Yep. It makes it so much more fun, even if it's the most mundane exercise. If you just call it a sushi cat, all of a sudden it's got this whole funness to it. So I like that you do that. You take it and make it fun instead of just burpee or whatever the case may be.
It's funny you should bring that burpee. Burpees are my favorite. I won't sugarcoat it, but rather than just do a burpee, again, two different aspects. Rather than just do a burpee, again, I often tell my clients, we're going to find your burpee. And what that means is you don't have to do that CrossFit, go hard or die burpee. You can do a step back. You can eliminate the push up. You can eliminate the jumping up. Doing whatever is your level of burpee. That's your burpee, and don't let anyone tell you that's not a burpee, because you can do a burpee against the wall, as long as that's your burpee. But the other thing, again, making it fun. I got challenged by someone to come up with, I think they were like, my favorite animal is a moose. Tell me, if you create a moose exercise, I'll do the workout with you. And I'm like, great, moose burpees. And so I just have some fun with it. And I've come up with the Zookeeper Burpee. Once again, zookeepers make things just more fun and more interesting. So instead of a push-up, or instead of jumping up at the end, we roll back down and roll on the ground a little bit and then jump up. And for the moose burpee, you come down to that plank, and then you do your little antlers, moose, and then you jump back up, burpee, and it makes it a lot more fun. Again, you're not doing burpees at this point. You're playing a game.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'll stick to it, because it's not torture. It's not something you have to do. It's, it becomes fun. I love that so much. We only have about 2 minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to share in particular, or reiterate a point?
Once again, I consider myself the queen of play. Once again, I thought if you get nothing else from this, just learn to just have some fun. Let their creativity, let your what moves you move you, and you don't have to just do something just to move. Do something that speaks to your heart. For me, that is going outside. I can't not go outside at least for a little bit every single day, because that's where I find joy in my life. And whether that's gardening, it's a little bit more meditative, going for a walk, or a hike in the mountains. Just go outside, have some fun, play, explore. They've got this great, big, beautiful world that is inviting every single one of us to come outside and find what moves them. And then again, find that spark. What is going to be your why? And let that spark just, shine through, so you can be the best version of yourself, doing what you can every single day to make a difference.
Oh, that was beautiful. I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show, because you have been just a blast, and I love your energy, and I love what you bring to the table, and we need more of you. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't even want to end that conversation. I feel like we need to have her back again so that we can continue. But it is the end of the show, and so it is time to go. But I do want to say thank you for joining us, and we will be back next week.